Carsten Hansen stood so tall. Matthias anchored out, inspired us all. AJ Johnson found his time. Jesper Svensson made it shine. Sean Rash wrote the latest page. Now another dream takes center stage. Who will lift the trophy high? Who will hear the crowd tonight? Every frame can change it all. Every champion starts so small. Storm, Lucky, Lost, and Masters. Where history comes alive. Storm, Lucky, Lost, and Masters. Where champions always rise. Another name will join them all. Another legend standing tall. Storm, Lucky, Lost, and Masters. Who's the next to win the crown? Sean Rash, Jesper Svensson, hey, AJ Johnson, Matthias Ankerdal, Carsten Hansen, Kyle Troop, Jason Belmont. Who's next?
Hear the call of the North. Hear the silence. Hear the call. They are coming. From the north, south, east, west. Different countries, different roads. One destination, Helsingborg. Olympia, bowling. One dream, one goal, one title. Storm! Lucky Larson Masters! Under northern skies we stand. Champions gather from every land. Every journey, every mile has brought them here for one more trial. Every heartbeat, every frame, every player, every name. Tonight, the story starts again. Hear the call of the North, where champions rise under Scandinavian skies. Hear the call of the North, where legends are born and history lives forevermore. Storm, Lucky, Lost, and Masters. Hear the call of the North. Storm, Lucky, Larson, Masters. This is more than competition. This is tradition. This is family. Another name will enter the Hall of Champions. The lanes remember. The crowd remembers. Champions leave, but their names remain forever. From Australia, Jason Belmonte. Power, personality, passion. From the United States, Kyle Troop. Kyle Troop. From Denmark, Carsten Hansen. Year after year, frame after frame, another champion earns his name. The trophy changes hands, but the legend remains. Hall of Champions, hear their names. Then the world stopped, the lanes became silent, but the dream remained. When the lights returned, so did the champions. From Denmark Denmark, Matthias Ankerdal. From the United States, AJ Johnson. Sweden waited. Sweden believed. Jesper Svensson stepped forward. Another American champion, Sean Rash. They came from across the world and answered the call. Belmonte, Truth, Hansen, Ankerdal, Johnson, Svensson, Rash. Names written forever in the Hall of Champions. History is never finished. A new chapter begins. The best return. New challengers arrive. Somewhere in this field is the next Hall of Champions name. Every year the dream is new. You can practice, you can prepare. But beneath these lights, there is nowhere left to hide. Every spare, every strike, every frame can change it all. Someone answers the call. Hear the call of the North, where champions rise under Scandinavian skies. Hear the call of the North, where legends are born from every country, from every shore. Storm, Lucky, Larson, Masters.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the streaming of this next squad in Olympia Bowling Alley here in Helsingborg. Louis Montfort back on track, talking to you guys. So hello, everybody, and we have so many good bowlers back on track. We can see on the streaming, Mr. Frankie Lavoie he just arrived this morning, and it looks like he's already having quite a good idea on what he wants to do on the lanes. Very similar line that we have been seeing these days. Very close to 10. This one was perhaps a little bit deeper, 11. That could explain that solid 10 he just had. So front 5 for Frankie Lavoie. Let's have a quick look around to see who's bowling where, so you have a better idea. Let's present and introduce our bowlers. How we look and have a classic bowling on lane 1. Christer Persson, one of the strongest talents we have in Europe. Yep. This young kid he just released the ball on lane 3. Mattias Hotning, such a talented bowler. He can do whatever he wants with the ball in hand. So, no more talking before we introduce everybody. Lane 1 and 2 we find Daniel. That's going to be a tough one. Nejechleba. I think it's going to be far from that, but I'm going to give my best. Bowling along with Daniel we have Stephanie Kratzik. Lane 2 we find Moritz Binken, Christer Rapp or Christer Persson. Bowling with them. Started with from 4 as well. Christer Persson is also from the same era I used to bowl, and our big friend of bowl yesterday did so good, Tori Torgersen. Lane 3 and 4 we find Williams Benson, two-handed, super talented Team Sweden bowler. Also spectacular to see when he finds his spot, this strike machine. I see him bowling a little bit to the right. Maybe this one was a little bit too far outside. Bowling with William, we find kid I just told you about, Mattias Ottning. Lane 4, we find another young guy with nothing less than talent, Don Harding from England. And bowling with them, we find Patrick Hennan. Really interesting bowlers in these 4 lanes, so we're going to have to keep an eye on all of them and make sure to see how they develop. Lanes 5 and 6, as we said, we find Frankie Lavoie bowling with Sabine Hildebrand. Singapore boy on lane 6, Mike Ong, he bowled really good last night. Tobias Durrell is bowling with him. Moving on to 7 and 8, we can find Adam Haxa, Jaroslav Zapletal. Lane 8, we find KG Lim and Vincent Wildon. Let's have a look here at Mike. Nice strike, Mike over there. Let's move on to 9 to 12. Let's see who's bowling over here. Here we find Ugi Wolf, Tobias Hochtien, Daniel Berner, Philip Jiranek, Marco Milbrat, Alexander Grundel, that started with the front 5. Then we find another local bowler, bowling for the local team of Spadedam, Emma Haltunen. And we find another local superhero over here, Nora Jansson, bowling along with Emma. So also we're going to have to keep an eye over here, see what Nora is capable to do. She had an amazing performance last year, going all the way into the final without any needs of ladies gateways, and she made it all the way in quite a few steps on the final. So Definitely she can bowl really, really high. She's super talented. We will have to keep an eye on her as well. It's going to be a busy squad for I can see. Moving on to 13 to 16, we find some striking already by William Berggren. Same thing for Daniel Freysch. Actually, Daniel Freysch is 48 over. Williams got 4 in a row, looking for a 5th one. And there you go. And lane 14, we find Dennis Linhart and Max Ostberg. Moving to the right pair of them on 15 and 16, we find Minvidas Andriukaitis. That sounds more like Lithuania or something like that. I'll have to check out. I'm alone in the booth at the moment, no technicians, but as soon as some of my technical guys arrive, I'm going to try to give you a little bit more detailed information about every single one. Another former Team Sweden, lefty, very, very old school style, but very super elegant and talent, Adam Andersson. Bowling on lane 16, we find Håvard Skok and Katja Rips. And finally, on the last camera, back to the right side of the bowling alley, we can see Timothy Tam, Pavla Zakoba, Linus Schroeder, Lukas Jelinek, another very powerful bowler here in Europe. One of those urethane masters, we could call him. And then finally, 19 and 20, we have a lot of talent here as well with Kevin Melin, Fran Wickman, Fiona Lindemann, and the one and only Ethan Fiore. Ethan just arrived 2 or 3 hours ago, straight to bowl. But he's so talented. So he did the same last year when he showed up. He just came without sleeping and he destroyed the squats, destroyed the scoring. It's going to be fun to see what Ethan can do on this pattern. You see the soft hand over there for Fiona on lane 20. Fiona and Ethan being on lane 20, they're going to move to the right, so that means they're going to move to the left side of the left corner of the bowling alley. It's supposed to play a little bit longer on the first 4-6 lanes compared to the rest of the bowling alley, especially compared to 19 and 20. So that kind of a lazy 10 she got in this last shot should be a strike on the next pairs. A lot of scoring going on for many bowlers. We see so many strikes going around. And so far it looks like this could be one of those very, very high scoring squats. A lot of people aiming for the 250s and the 260s. So that's going to be quite a start for a Tuesday, 3:20 p.m. here in Sweden in Helsingborg. As we always say, welcome to comment with us. Welcome to join us in the chat. You can send any questions. You can send any commentaries. If I take a little bit to answer is, again, I don't have any technician here with me. So I mainly have the action in front of me. I don't really have any information of the chats or not much information yet about results. But it's the beginning of the squads and people is quite busy, still fixing things everywhere around the bowling alley. So I would have company pretty soon. Okay, let's see who is about to end. It's a very fast pace for this squad number 1. They are bowling quite fast, which is good news because then there won't be any delays for the second squad. So let's move along a little bit to see how everything is going on. We have a potential 230 for Williams Benson. Matthias had an open frame there, so he needs to strike out for a 226. Dan Harden's going to make 199, and Moritz has, as I said, the chance to make 236. Moving to 5-6, we see Frankie, after an open frame, he managed to get a double again. We see some striking going on by Adam Axa and Vincent Wildon. 4 in a row spare, 3 in a row, and most probably a spare on the next shot as well. So that's quite some high scoring in here. Next pairs, you can see Alexander Grun on his way for a 268 if he strikes out. funny because we see people like Daniel Borner here with 218. It doesn't look like such a big name, sorry, a big number for now. We see Nora also with a 9-spare double, 4 9-spares in a row, and a double. That should give her a chance to strike out for 236 as well. And I think this is the highest spot in the bowling alley at the moment, with William Berggren 260, Dennis Linhart 257. Max is gonna shoot 213, I believe. And then the Frisch is going to take a shot on lane 14 with a chance of striking out for 268. Another high game. So that was the bingo pair on game 1, lanes 13 and 14. There you go. Another strike for Daniel Frisch. That's going to put him on the 268 with one more. And you can see also we have Adam Andersson with a fair chance for striking out and taking all the way up to 260. We're gonna have a look at see what goes on with Lucas and Linus. Also, Linus with a chance of striking out for 267. Lucas could strike out for 279. Let's see, Ethan Fury. That was a little bit more of a sight release than the previous one, so that could explain why the ball went a little bit longer but reacted a little bit more than on the previous shots, and why it was a little bit deeper in the pocket and left that 4-pin. That's going to be a 230 something for Ethan Fury on this one. And my God, the scores are really, really high now. So interesting. This squad has begun with a very high scoring pace. A lot of strikes everywhere. Maybe we should call the Kegel guy and ask him, are you sure you put the same pattern, or did you put the house shot? Because this one is playing really, really high today. So I'm gonna let you know a little bit from here and there without moving the streaming yet. So we can see the end of Linus and Lucas. I'm gonna read you some of the scores I can see on the bigger screen. 215, 225, 231, 205, 245, 252, 215, 247, 212, 218, 233 with an open frame at the 10th, 225, 212, 234, 257, 260, 267, 213, and okay, 9 miss for Linus, 235, and we can still have 266 by Adam Andersson and 279 by Lucas Jelinic. So I was looking at the big screen, letting you know a little bit of all the scoring, and I just realized Ethan shot 4 on the last frame. I wonder if he moved a little bit deeper, tried the reactive, and it was because of 4. Usually it's when you leave the 3, 6, 10, 9, 4, 7. Maybe he tried to move a little bit deeper, but the lane's still too sensitive to do that move. Okay, scores are almost ending in every lane. We just have, okay, we're gonna have another 259 possibly on lane 7 and 8. As we see Lucas carries on with his striking. That's on his way for 279. And definitely the scores are going to be the highest we have seen for quite some time. I think it's probably the highest squad or highest scoring squad we had so far. So today it's Tuesday, 25th of August, 3 o'clock. That's the squad I need to look at. And okay, I got it ready. Even with no technician, I think I'm gonna manage to give you the standings all by myself. I feel like Celine Dion all of a sudden. All by myself, don't wanna be. Okay, one more strike there for Adam Andersson. That ends his game on a 245. Can you believe that 245 is not gonna even be top 5 for this game 1? Crazy, isn't it? Short ball in the pocket for Lucas Jelinic on this last shot. So that's going to be a game of a 268. And my goodness, I mean, look at the main screen we have now. 212, 230, 234, 234, 235, 248, which is going to be a 268, 183, 186. Pretty crazy start of the day here on Tuesday. It looks like Tuesday is a good day for bowling. Let's go over there. Now they finished as well. Yeah, everybody is done now. So in a few seconds, we're going to be able to refresh the scores and give you a complete standing on this game one. Give me just a second. I'm going to see why this one doesn't refresh. Okay, while the score is refreshing, I'm going to give you the general standing so you have a little bit of an idea how things are. Leader of the tournament, we find Tomo with 1488. Karsten Hansen, a previous champion, is sitting on the second spot with 1483. Then we find Noel Haglund Torgersen, 1474. Number 4 is Albin Gudstrand, 1473. Number 5, Marcus Jansson, 1449. Number 6, Carl Eklund, 1431. Number 7, Alexander Tigerstrand, 1429. Robin Norberg, 1425 on 8th place. Oliver Dahlgren, number 9, 1416. And Oliver Dahlgren, that I said already, I believe. Yeah, Oliver Dahlgren, 1416. And number 10, Emil Svensson, 1413. Number 11, also 1400. So that is Slovenia on the lead, Denmark number 2, and then is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Swedish guys, one after the other, all the way to close that top 10 in the general standings. Now I'm going to give it a try one more time to see if I can give you the updated scores. Yes, we have them. So, look at that. It looks like, you remember that movie called Kingpin? The guy said he had 260 average, but then he said we actually bowl 14 frames, not 10. It looks a little bit like that. Number 1, Lukas Jelinic, 268. Number 2, Daniel Frisch, 267. Number 3, William Berggren, 260. Number 4, Dennis Lindhardt, 257. Number 5, Adam Axa, 252. Number 6, Vincent Wildon, 247. Number 7, Yaroslav Sapletal, 247. Number 8, Frankie Lebois, 245. Number 9, Adam Anderson, 245. Remember I said 245 was not anywhere close to top 5. It's nearly out of top 10. 10, Linus Schroeder, 235. 11, Frank Winken, 234. 12, Kevin Melin, 234. Alexander Gruhl, 233. William Svensson, 231 all the way to 14. Ethan Fiore, 230, sitting on number 15. And if I keep scrolling down, we have up to 26 bowlers who shot over 200 on this game one. That's pretty much insane. That's a very, very high scoring pace at the moment. So we have on streamings at the moment 5 to 8. We can find a classic, Christer Rapp, former Team Sweden. Dan Harding is bowling here as well. Okay, let's see, where do we find the two-handed superstar with the perfect timing, which is Ethan Fury. Ethan Fury is bowling now here on 3 and 4. Okay, we have quite a strong field on these two pair of lanes. We find Linus Schroeder, we find Lukas Jelinic, Frankie Lebois, we find Ethan, and we can also see Fiona. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. I'm going to have a look around, see what else should we keep an eye on. Okay, and later on we probably need to jump on 9, 10, 11, 12, or we have Mike Ong, William Bergen, and Daniel Frisch. KG Lim is also there, and Adam Anderson is also there. So it was Actually, so many balls with such high games that I'm going to have to keep an eye on almost everybody. That's going to make it a little bit of a busy squad. But that's what we're here for, and that's why we have so many caffeine sitting down on the table, so we don't drop down in energy and we can carry on and keeping this exciting, or try to keep it as exciting as the images we have on this cover. Frankie Lavoie, lane 1. And a very late messenger, very, very late messenger. See if we can see Ethan bowling on lane 4. Yeah, it definitely plays a little bit longer than the lanes did on 19 and 20. We could also see Fiona leaving the 3-9. That's a sign of the ball going a little bit longer than it did on 19 and 20. Now we're going to see a second shot for Lucas Jelinek here on lane 2. Is currently the leader on the squad with 68 over after one game. And I say it again, every time I look right and I see that unbelievable scoring pace we've got on this squad, it's really going crazy. It looks like Lucas let Fiona bowl first. So we're going to first look at Luke and Fiona, and then we're going to follow the action again with Lucas to see if he can keep on striking like a crazy machine as he's doing now. There goes Lucas. And deep. Missed a little bit to the right, but it's safe. Just left the 6-pin, which is going to be a very easy spare for him. And the scoring pace keeps growing up. So as we said before, we're going to make a quick jump into lanes. Where did we say? Yes, we said 9-10, 9-12 over here with Mike Ong and William Berggren. So a little bit of a slower start than we've seen on game 1, but it's makes all the sense in the world. You had warm up on game 1. You could find your spot. You could actually create a little bit of area either inside or outside of your target. And now it's game 2. You have to go and find whatever the traffic the bowlers did for you, and you need to quickly try to adapt into that new spot. You can see some of the bowlers, as we said, moved from one side of the alley to the other side of the alley. The bowling eye is slightly different on the first 6 lanes compared to the other ones. The first 6 play slightly longer than the rest of the bowling alley. The explanation is because when they bowl the National Swedish League in here, that's the 6 lanes that are not used that often. And okay, I see some strike for Dan Hardin actually. Dan, he decided to go for a spin on a scooter last night, not wearing a helmet, and he kind of paid a price with it. He has a blue eye, but we all made some fun on him, telling him that he would be more accurate today since one of the eyes is a little bit more close than the other one. Another good shot there for Mike Ong, a little bit to the right. That probably explains that soft end. We're going to see the replay by Jopo Grips. Look at the ball moving a little bit further out. And now if you look at the ball, you see how it deflected a little bit. It doesn't really continue to split the 8 and the 9. The ball deflected slightly after touching the 1, 3, and the 5. The ball moved more into the 9-pin, and that was the reason why for that soft end on Mike Ong. Dennis Linhart currently on the 4th spot in the squad with 257. Already started with the front 4. He's one of those that seem to be having no issues on finding the new spot. I see also Frankie Lavoie on 1 and 2. Managed to start with the first 3. It's unbelievable. I'm going to check it out again. How many balls I said? I think all the way to 26 bowlers above 200. And with a game of 225, look at that. Nora Johansson, 225 on game 1, and she's sitting on 17th place for the squad. If the scoring remains like that, I'm going to have to cheat again and change again my prediction for the cut. Now that nobody's here, nobody can see me. Okay, that was a bit short in the pocket over there. It's a bit of a dangerous spare, easy to chop. But you cannot really want to bowl it too straight because you want to take care of the pin sitting on the back. That's the 8 pin. So probably you would adjust yourself with the strike ball to take the regular spare of the 2-8 and take away half a board just to make sure the ball doesn't really chop the 3 and leaves the 5 standing. Nice shot over there for Matthias Hotning. A little bit deep in the pocket, 4 pin. A little bit of a low body language for Matthias. But you can understand with these guys that bowl so high. And look at that replay we have over here on lane 17. Perfect strike. That was a difference on the way you see the ball. That ball was not deflecting. It did split the 8-9. And now we're back in the action to lanes 1 to 4. We have a bunch of talented bowlers here, striking like crazy machines. Frankie Lavoie from 4, Lucas Janicic already with the double, Ethan Fury already with the triple, Adam Axe double, spare double. We're going to have a look at Frankie over here, bowling on 12 in the arrows, somewhere about 9, 10 in the break point, and nice and easy. Couldn't be any simpler than that. Beautiful. Beautiful strike for Frankie Lavoie. A very kind bowler, very humble bowler. It's very nice to see these people. They are superstars, but they don't act like superstars. They actually act like normal people. Very easy to access to all of them. They're always very open to talk to any of the bowlers, take pictures with them, sign autographs. So if you have not yet bowled or visit Olympia Bowling Alley when we have the Lucky Larson, make sure you do as soon as you can, because it's one of those events you don't want to miss. Now we see the spare with backup on lane 4. And we're going to put our eyes on Ethan Fury. He's going to take his shot on lane 3. Ethan is bowling quite far to the outside at the moment. I would say somewhere around 9-10 in the arrow, sending it a little bit further outside. At least it was on lane 19 and 20. He was throwing somewhere about 9 in the arrows, 5 out the break point. Let's see what he's doing now. Very similar. That was about 8-4. That could explain a little bit of that little bit late action on the 10 pin. The ball being half a board more to the right than other shots and giving him a slightly different entry angle into the pocket. Now we're back on 17 and 18 where we can see Dennis Linhart carries with his striking streak 5 in a row to start this game. In the meantime, we could see 1 strike for Matthias Hotning again. I love the way this kid bowls. He's super fast on the legs. And that is one of the things that new bowling has brought. And some people that has been bowling for many years as one-handed and they decide to switch to 2 hands, find most difficult to get that fast pace on their legs and to really catch up on that speed that these young guys manage to produce. All right, we're back on lanes 1 and 2. It was a very deep in the pocket show for Lucas Jelenic. Left the 6-8. That's the 4-9 for right-handers. Went for the spare, didn't get it. But we're going to stick here for a little while because there's a lot of striking going on, both for Frankie and Ethan Fury. So we have the PBA guys are starting to show up. They start to show their teeth and not just smiling. Not a bad shot there for Adam. And we can see Frankie on lane 1 throwing the IQ 78. That was a bit more outside, should be better. Yeah, it was a bit more outside than the previous one. So the pink area was cleaner than we could see on the previous shot. Fantastic. Another split there for Fiona. And after that spare on lane 3, we will see Ethan Fury showing up on lane 4, looking to get his 5th strike in a row. Again, we always try to give some tips and help to everybody who's watching. If you want to learn more about two-handed bowling, we can tell you Ethan Fury is the guy to really look after. One of the big mistakes amateurs usually do is try to pay so much attention to whatever the bowlers are doing at the foul line or whatever they're doing with their hand. In this case, what I'm going to point you to is to look at how Ethan pushes the ball in front on what on a 5-step release would be step 3. You can see the ball is matching in front of the body with the left foot. So that actually we could call it that the perfect timing for a two-handed, if you don't want to run too much, it's based on a 3-step and not on a 4-step like it would be for one-handed with a much longer swing and a little bit slower leg pace. Now, Lucas, fuck, that name is so hard. Lucas Jelinek, again, lane 2. The king of urethane. Nothing to say. That ball doesn't even need any commentary. Just pay attention. Look at that. Boom. Nice and easy. We're going to see Frankie going for his frame number 7. Pretty similar, a little bit deeper perhaps. Yes, a little bit deeper. So the ball found a little bit less of friction, found more oil, traveled a little bit longer, and it didn't have enough power to make it all the way into the pocket at the very end. So 10 pin for Frankie Leroy. I don't even think we need to look at his pairing. He's the best spare accuracy and best spare rate in the PBA. But I'm going to watch because I'm complaining a lot about the single pins missed. So this one should be... You see, even with some issues on the approach, easy spare. Now Ethan's going to take a shot on lane 3, and right after that we're going to move along because there is some striking going on 7 and 8 as well. So let's have a quick look at Ethan releasing that. Oh, we are back on 7 and 8 already with Dan Harding looking to strike out for 279. That goes down. Come on, Dan. Yes. Good shot, man. And back to Ethan. And back to striking. Lovely strike there for Ethan Fury. Okay, bowlers that were pretty much up on the top. 4th place on this squad was 257 for Dennis Lienhardt. He's playing on lane 17 and 18. He's got from 5 spare strike spare. Let me see around someone else. Mike Ong going for a possible 246. Obviously, Dan Harding. working really good. Was already in the 270s. A little bit more of a slowdown overall, so we're gonna see a little bit of a drop down in the scoring. Just a few guys keep going pretty high and pretty strong, but not all of them. Some of them are gonna drop down a little bit, so we're probably gonna see top 10 sitting down around 25 over now, even 30 over, maybe a little bit lower. We see. Yeah, easy spare for Frankie again. And in the meantime, I'll let you know the local here on lane 15. She seems to have found a little bit the spot that's going to work for her. That was a soft end. That's for talking way too early. But clean game for her, Turkey. If she spares and doubles again, it's going to be a 220 something. Nora had already a 220. I think it was 225 I said a few minutes ago. Give me a second, I'll let you know. Nora 225. Yeah, so it could be a couple of games of 220 for Nora. And that's a pretty good pace on the ladies division, definitely. Okay, there goes Ethan on lane 4. That was further outside. Ah, you see what I'm telling you all the time. Missed outside, different angle, different entry angle, and that's why the 10 pin was standing there. Now back to Lucas on lane 2. Easy spare for Ethan Fury. Okay, some guys managed to fix the game at the end. Fix the game by the end on the last couple of frames. I give you an example. William Berggren was not doing super high, but strike out for 233. That's a nice fix of the game. Puts him on 93 over already, William Berggren. Mike Kong, after 245, is reaching a score of 447. Let me see what else is about to end. I'll let you know. William Spencer taking his last shot on the game for a 196 and total score of 427 if he strikes, which he did. So that's 427 for William Spencer. Dennis Leinhardt on 17 started with from 5, already with 54 over on the 9th frame. And let's go back to our current streaming camera on lanes 1 and 2. We see Frankie. That was even deeper. Yes, that was even deeper. And that's why that ball had never any chance to really make it back into the pocket with enough power. No need to say much about that. Oi, look at that messenger. What was that? Did somebody order a pizza? There's your pizza. Boom. Delivery on your door. Another easy spare for Frankie. So Frankie can strike out for 100 over. Ethan can strike out for 99 over. And Lucas can strike out for 490. Dennis Leinhardt, if he strikes out, also is going to be 490. Don Harding after 279 is up to 478. Alexander Grundel missed a little bit, went down to 203, so 436 for him. 450 for Daniel Frisch with a game of 180. So as we said, some of the scores have dropped down a little bit, but they were so high after game one. Nice pair over there on lane 2. Beautiful, beautiful by Sabine. Look at how accurate that is. Perfect splitting both the 4 and the 5. Nice shot. So there goes Frankie. 10 frame. Strike. Nice shot for Frankie on lane 1. Looking for a 257. Meanwhile, under my pals and his game on 19 and 20. Matthias Olding, strike alpha to 12 after a gather on frame 2. 417 total. Matthias is bowling with Williams Benson. That's what a couple over there. Those are two talented kids, that's for sure. Oh, look at that strike. Nearly was a 5-10. Okay, let's have a look at Frankie. Can he double on the 11th? Takes a swing routine just before his shot. Gets some feeling of a free release and a free swing. And that was a beautiful pin action because that felt a little bit further out than the previous one. That's why the 10 pin is a little bit later. You see the 6 pin goes to the gutter and has a hard work to knock down the 10. That's a very sight release for Adam over there, but beautiful strike. And in the meantime, Ethan got a strike on the 10th. I did not even see that. We see a change of ball on Frankie. He's going to try something for later on. Moved probably about 7 boards deeper in the arrows. 1 or 2 on the break point. So that's a move of about 10 with the feet. Easy. It did look pretty good. 257 for Frankie Lavoie. Total score 102 over. 9 spare for Ethan Fury. Total score 488. And let me see, we have just 1.5 frame to go for a couple of guys. So that means we're going to be able to refresh the scoring and let you know the stats after 2 games here in Olympia Bowling. It's 5 minutes to 4 in the afternoon. A lot of action, a lot of crazy things going on. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, back into the action, lanes 15 and 16. powerful Matthias Onding. Beautiful strike there. That's a nice pair we have over here. We have Mike Ong. We have Williams Benson. We have Matthias Ottning. We have KG Lim. So a lot of talent. And pretty much anywhere we look, it's a lot of talent. And now I see all scores are cleaning up and everybody's going to start this game number 3. So that means in a few seconds I'm going to be able to give you the complete refreshed standings for this particular squad. And it's going to be a little bit lower on the top 20, but top 4, top 5 still going to remain pretty high. Here we go. Frankie Lavoie sitting on number 1. 502, that's 100 pins over. William Berggren, number 2, 493. Ethan Fury, number 3, 488. Dennis Linhart, Deutschland, 483. Dan Hardin, after that powerful 279 game, moved up to number 5 with 478. 1 pin short, it's Lucas Jelinek, 477. Then we find Adam Haxa with 474. Number 8 is for Jaroslav Zapleta, 457. Adam Anderson, 452. And closing up our top 10 is Daniel Frisch, 450. There is Nora, that actually Nora shot 1 pin less than she did on the previous game when she was sitting on number 25, and now she's sitting on number 11. So that means 14 bowlers drop down from the 230 average all the way down to below 225. So it's a 10 pin drop for quite a few amount of bowlers. Even for the leader, because the leader was with 268. Now we are on the 250 average. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a drop down on the scoring. It remains pretty high anyway. It's a very high scoring. It's a lot of talent, and as we said from the beginning of the week, that pattern is not that hard. It's not playing that difficult. It gives a lot of room. It doesn't seem to be that much predominance of urethane as it was on some of the other squads. And most probably that's the reason why the lanes are opening up a little bit more and becoming a little bit more playful. So we had a double on Williams Benson on frame 3. The ball was a bit deep in the pocket. Now let's have a look at Matthias. Okay, well, it's not the best balance ever. Let's have a look again. Look at Matthias, and that balance at the end was a bit out of spot. You can see how he needs to put the right foot over there. But it's a strike, and a strike is always good news. Okay, something going on. A little bit of missing action in here. Nothing really happened. You can see the standings, top 5, on the bottom of the screen, in case somebody did not hear me when I was explaining. And I'm going to start looking around, see if we need to follow the action somewhere in particular, or if we can remain sitting down here on the screen we have now for a few more shots. I see Dan Harding is striking again. Is doing quite good. Front four for Dan. Maybe he found something that's really working well for him. But it could be also there is a little bit more of reactive today, and Dan has been bowling reactive the whole week. And probably that's giving him a little bit more of a better reaction and a quicker transition, and allowing him to bowl a little bit moving in and just send the ball out there and grab the area that people is leaving on your right side. So we're going to see how William takes that spare. An easy one, it should be. Yes, it is. Nice shot here on lane 14 for Tobias Durrell. Beautiful strike. And a soft 10 for Matthias Onding. Probably also standing a little bit too far to the right. So let's have a look around. We said Dan was doing pretty good on lanes 11 and 12. We see some striking there also for Patrick Hennen, Timothy Tan, and Frank Benken, also front three from the beginning. And spare for Frank Benken. And spare for Pabla. So let's have a look. You see Chris there, bowling on lane 10. We bowled together as doubles in Mallorca in 1995, so that's 31 years ago we bowled doubles. Very kind guy, very, very kind guy. I used to bowl for Team Sweden. He has a company that makes bowling ball cleaners and some products for taking care of the lanes. Very good stuff, actually. I sell them on my pro shop, and customers are super satisfied with how good they actually clean and take care of the balls. Soft end there for Dan Harding on lane 12, so that means it's no more striking, but last game was like that, front four, 9 spare, and then he did strike out for a total of 279. I must say it almost feels a little bit strange not to have on the lanes neither Kim Bowleby, Marcus Johnson, Andrew Hall, or Nate Purchase, because they were bowling every single squad on the last 4 or 5 I've been on the streaming. They were on the lanes. It's kind of something's happening. I miss somebody. But how good they did that then, especially Marcus Johnson. He was bowling pretty much all around the bowling alley, all around the lane, trying many different things until he found what was working, and then 1449. That's a pretty high score. Beautiful performance. Let's have a look at what Danny can do here on lane 11. Sorry. That was far outside. Look at that. He's got it back. That came back out of nowhere. Okay, I think it's time we move around and see a little bit what goes on everywhere. We see some striking on 3 and 4 for Marco Milbrad and Alexander Grund. He had a little bit of a low game on the last one, but he seemed to have found his track again and starting to put some more strikes on it. Moving on to 5 to 8, we find Lukas Jelinic with a couple of splits to start the game. A double and an open frame for Dennis Frisch again, an open frame for William Berggren. Spare strike double for Linus. Double spare strike for Minbidas. An open frame for Adam Anderson, an open frame for Fiona, and a double spare strike for Ethan Fury. Ethan's going to take a shot now, lane 8, so let's wait here for a minute more so we can see where Ethan is standing, if there is any changes on the line he's using. No, it's pretty much the same. Stay pretty close to the gutter. I'd say ball is somewhere between 6 and 7 in the arrows, and moving all the way out to 3-4 down at the end of the pattern. Moving along, back to 9 to 12. Triple spare strike for Timothy 10. A triple spare strike for Frank Bimken. As we had Dan Harding with 4 in a row, 9 spare strike. A clean game with a double as well for Patrick. Let's go one more pair. Mike Ong with the strike spare and 3 in a row. And William is clean with a double. No doubles for Matthias yet on this lane 15. Okay, look at Matthias. He decided to change sides. He was bowling the regular hooking ball somewhere between 10, 11, 12 on the right side. He's doing the same kind of a line, but he decided to go on the other side of the lane. He's really, really talented. He can bowl. He can bowl the same to the right than to the left. That's quite an advantage when you are able to do both things. So whenever you find one of those tournaments that lefties are dominant, you can choose to go to that side. All right. Time to go into the next pair, where we see Frankie Lavoie has a couple of splits on frame 4 and 5. Actually, the last one I could see on the right side of the screen, it was the 2-4-10. So that means the ball was short to the pocket. Could it be that transition is starting to show up a little bit more and is pushing the bowlers a little bit deeper in? Frankie will still throw in the IQ 78. Due to its hardness, and that Frankie is not the highest strike rate guy in the field. It could be pretty much time to start thinking on a ball change if he has to keep moving in. So we're going to stick here and see what kind of a solution it's going to bring onto the lanes. Is he going to move back a little bit to the right with the same IQ 78? Is he going to bowl it a little bit tighter, a little bit straighter, or is he going to change ball and keep moving inside, chasing the oil and try to bank whatever it's left friction on the outside? It's going to be interesting to see the next shot for Frankie Lavoie here on lane 18. So as I predicted, we can see a change of ball for Frankie. He's moved a little bit deeper inside. That was already 12-8, 12-9. Probably is gonna do a little bit of a fine adjustment after that shot. I believe he's gonna send it a little bit more to the friction than he did on that last shot. That was a little bit light in the pocket, but it was working much better. The Aki 78 was running out of room to play, and it would have forced him to do kind of a little bit of a different shape on the lane. Expensive frame there for Don Harding on lane 11. I know we're not watching, so I'm just going to explain. He had a double after the 9 spare, and then he left the washout, the big one. The 1, 2, 4 with the 6 and the 10, and the 6 and the 10 left standing after the spare shot. That's an expensive frame. He had 34 over on frame 6. Now he's only on 20 over on frame 8. So that means 14 pins drop on that particular open frame for him. Now bowling on lane 20 after Jaroslav takes his shot. No, sorry, it was Adam. Takes his shot on 19. We're going to see Nora. She's bowling reactive. She's moved deeper. She's actually quite hooking the lane at the moment. The last shot, it was somewhere around 16 in the arrows all the way out to 4 or 5. I was further to the right on this one. So she's playing both lanes in a very different way. But a beautiful strike for Nora. And we saw that little fine adjustment I was talking about for Frankie after changing ball was a little bit short in the pocket on the previous shot, even if it was a strike. Fine tune for the next one, and that was a very fantastic shot for Frankie Lavoie on lane 17. Let's have a quick look around. Again, we go back to 1, 2, 4. Let's see the total scores. Dennis Linhart 599. That's the highest on these 4 lanes. He can strike out for a total of 248. So that would put him with 684 total after 3, which is quite okay. Let's move around, see what is bowling here. William, okay, William Bergen, 4 in a row after an open frame. That's putting some score back for him. Daniel Frisch also, after that open frame, managed to make strike spare and double. Lucas Jelinic also an open frame and 1 double. We have Fiona now on lane 7. She had a very low. Game 2, I guess the lanes are playing slightly different for her than they did last night. Let's see where she's standing now. 12. That's probably missing in on that particular shot. That means I'm going to be a little bit busy as soon as this game is done. I'm going to have to go out to talk. Maybe she can try to get some information, try some different balls and lines, and get a better idea of all the lane and how it can be played from other shapes that can be also very productive. You don't need to keep on doing exactly what you did yesterday. Even if yesterday it worked, every day is a brand new day. Every day you can have a little bit of a slight different lane transition and lane reaction. It's very important to understand who are you following, what kind of shape are they bowling, what kind of material are they throwing, how much surface, how strong is that chemistry, how much is that ball flaring, because all those small changes and small details, they do have an impact on whatever goes on the lane for you afterwards. Now we're going to have a look at Ethan Fury. He's got 8 spare, 8 split on the last one. Okay, that's a little bit deeper already for Ethan. He has moved a little bit his angles. The ball was more into 7, 7.5, sending it out to that same break point somewhere around 3 down the lane. It was a solid 10 for Ethan Fury. We're gonna move again and see what goes on. Okay, solid 9 for Dan Harding over there. Not the happy face. That's gonna prevent what looked like it could have been a very high game. It's gonna stick down to, with the spare and a strike, 219. And this game 3, it's really kicking some transition. It's not very low scoring. I would say many bowlers are managing to fix their scores now by the end of the game. I see some triples and 4 in a row and some lanes to end the game, but it's not as high as it was, especially not as high as it was on game 1. So we're gonna have a quick review of the total scores after the game is finished. Meanwhile, we're gonna keep searching around to see what goes on here and there. We move to lanes 13 and 16. Mike Ong just had an open frame on the 9th. He was one of those guys that could have a little bit of a higher game, but that open frame did prevent it from happening. There's Matthias bowling on the left side. Look at that pin action. I think there's no way you can get stronger pin action on a backup ball. Look at that. Bang! That's a freaking messenger on a backup ball. That was unbelievable. Let's move to the right corner because we can see Nora is striking some more. Looks like she found some spot, and that change of ball is paying out very well as well for Frankie Lavoie. It was a good catch that we had here in the booth when we saw that 2-4-10. Not actually looking at Frankie camera. We could see it happening from the cameras on 13 to 16, but Frankie had that split on lane 17. And then we moved to see what he was doing. We spoke about Moss probably needing a ball change, and that's exactly what he did, and that's exactly what's paying out very good for him. Again, since Victor is already in the house, I'm going to ask him to have a look to see if there is any questions or any commentaries on the YouTube channels. We welcome you to be members and tell those that you know, if they're not subscribed yet, tell them to do. It's only $5, and that's going to guarantee that you can see all the tournament with commentary, including the final. You're not going to be able to see the final and the step ladder final unless you are a member. That sounded so British, a member. I don't know where that accent came from. Maybe Dan Harding, spending too many hours around him. So it's that was a bad break for Emma Haltonen on the 10th frame. Still made 200, just 2 pins short to par. Now there goes Frankie with that change of ball he did. With that, they didn't like that one. No wonder why. I don't know what ball Frankie is using, but from here it really looks like the Tour Dynamics. I'm not sure anyone has any of those left. A little bit of a miss inside for Nora there, 4 pins standing. That's going to be a 223 game for Nora. So she's not bowling any high for what she can do, but she's bowling super consistent. 220, 220, 220. Frankie takes the spur. And with the strike, it's going to be a game of a 210. Yeah, spare for Nora. I'm going to quickly move to 5, 6, 7, 8 because we can see William Berggren did some more striking. So I think it's 232 total for him. Let me see if the score refreshes. 231. It was a 6. So 231 for a total score of 724. That's a very good start of the day for William Berggren. Now we're going to have a look at Daniel Frage. He also has quite some strikes in there. He can strike out for 246 and move up to 696, unless I'm wrong. We saw a spare there for Lucas Jelinek. He had a very high first game, then a couple of not so high, 200s for him, 209, 207, but still a very good score. 84 over for Lucas after 3. Now there goes Ethan. He had also an open frame again on the 9th. So now he decided to do a move that I used to do back in the 90s. He moved, instead of moving inside, he moved himself even further outside. I guess in order to stay away from the traffic. And since I can tell you there is friction all the way to board number 1. Actually, board number 1 has too much friction. It feels a little bit like if the bumpers were up. But it was a very interesting move here for Ethan Fiore. Instead of moving in, moving even further outside, making sure he stays away from the traffic. And that paid out really, really well for him. Let's see what he does on this 11th frame. See if he can make a double. There you go. Send the ball out there. Beautiful pin action for him. That's going to cover. One more. Gets a 200. Obviously, it's not going to be happy. But it's not a disaster. Daniel Frage keeps on going, as we said. If he strike it out, it was a 246 for a total score of 696. And he's bowling really deep inside already. Nearly on the 20s in the center in the arrow, so that's pretty deep inside for him. We see a change of ball and a change of line for Ethan. Grabbing information. Left 4 pins there, but that's not something he's really worried about. So game 3, it's over. We're going to be back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee, and I'll be right back with the refreshment of the standings for the moment. All right, I'm back. A cup of coffee. I couldn't drink it any faster. It was burning my tongue, but I'm back on track. We can see some strikers here on Timothy Tan on lane 5 and 6. We can see also a spare and a triple for Kevin Melin. And what I'm going to do before I carry on checking around, I'm going to grab my buddy's mouse over here so I can refresh the scoring and let you know how things are going. Leader of the squad at the moment is William Berggren, 724. Number 2, we find Frankie Lavoie. I actually went out and spoke to Frankie because if you remember, we were talking, he was using the U78. The IQ, he left the 210, and I said he was probably going to move immediately to a reactive and move a little bit deeper. Went out there to find out. That was exactly the same thing we were telling that he said he was doing and feeling. Number 3, we have Jaroslav Zapletal, 704. Number 4 is Dan Harding, 697. Number 5 is Daniel Frisch, 695. Adam Haxa, 693. Lucas Jelinek, 684. Ethan Fury, 684. Dennis Lienhardt, 677. Mike Ong is currently 7th with 673. And a very interesting stats for number 11. The local superstar Nora Johansson, 672, but pay attention, 225, 224, 223. I don't like the order is going down and not up, but it's very, very, very consistent. And if you remember a couple of days ago, we had another guy doing this kind of not super high, but very consistent. And as I said to you, as soon as one high game pops up, the squad is going to be super good. It's going to put you on the very high 13. 60s, 70s, 80s, and especially being a girl and being allowed to play on the girls division, she would have such a good chance. Very bad, very bad break for Nora now on lanes 3 and 4. She had 9 spare, 9 spare, 9 spare, 9 Mies, and she just left the 7-10. Actually, if you remember, guys, we said not long ago that lanes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 play a little bit longer than the right corner. Nora comes from hooking the ball a little bit more than most were doing on lanes 19 and 20. And what I'm believing is happening is that because of these lanes play slightly longer, the ball is having a little bit of extra angle compared to what she had on the previous game, and that is causing the carry not to be as good as it was one game ago. Anyway, if someone is good enough, it's going to be Nora to make a little fix about that, a fine-tuning adjustment, and she could start striking pretty soon. If we look at the partners bowling on lane 1 and 2, we see front 6 for Filip Jiranek over there, and front 5 spare strike for our squad leader, William Berggren. If we said Nora was bowling consistent, we can pretty much say the same about William after the games of 260, 233, 231, and now he's got these 5, so that puts him already on 39 over par on this particular game. And if he continues to carry like that, he's going to put himself with 200 over after 4, which is going to be a very, very, very good and interesting score. This time I'm going to go and look all the way around. We're going to go to the right corner, see who's playing over there. We see Mike Ong. Mike shot 226 last game. He's sitting with 73 over par, and he started with a triple open frame and a double. Who else is doing good here? We find Marco with a double and a triple. We find Vincent with a double, a miss, and a triple. And then we find Tobias Hotin with 4 in a row. Let's move to 15 to 16. We find a double here for Moritz. All right, that's a tough start for Frankie on lanes 13 and 14. Lanes 13 and 14, at least when I bowled, it was quite a big difference between them. Lane 13 played much, much longer than what lane 14 did. But when we had Dan Harding yesterday on the booth as a guest talking with us, he said actually for him it was the pair that had less difference between them. So it could be due to the traffic either when he bowled or when I bowled. I would mostly say when he bowled, because I talked to some of the other very good local bowlers, and they also agreed that usually lane 13 bowls a little bit longer than 14. Talking about that, he's throwing very, very good shots. He was not so lucky at the end of last game, but still doing pretty good, sitting on fourth with 97 over, and he's with a clean game for now. Already has a double, looking for finding whatever goes on lane 16. He only has one strike on lane 16. Then he had an 8 spare and 8 spare. Strike there for Frankie Lebois. Let's move another pair, see who's bowling where. We have Ethan Fury on lane 11 and 12 with 9 spare strike, 9 spare triple 9. That's a very interesting pair, actually. We find Lucas Jelinek, we find Linus Reder, Fiona Lindemann, Ethan Fury, Williams Benson, and Matthias Otting. That means out of 8 bowlers, we have at least 6 that could be the best bowlers ever in Spain. How elegant is that Ethan Fury, yeah? It was cool now when I went out there, grabbed that coffee, spoke a little bit, also tried to tell Fiona to do something different from what she was doing. She was bowling pretty much the same line and shape she did yesterday. She was feeling afraid to just grab the reactive and move inside, move your feet 10 to the left and just send the ball out there to the friction, because there is friction. The scores are showing that you can just move in and send it out there. Maybe some pair is a little bit tougher than the other one, but it should be working good. Now we can see Matthias Otting is choosing to bowl back up most of the time. So let's see if we can catch that replay and see his... that was a little bit too late. All right, but very cool pair to watch. Amazing bowlers. There goes William. Spinning the ball quite much, to be honest. That was really, really on the side of the ball. Maybe that's the reason why the ball was short in the pocket. When you spin it a little bit more than you pretend, the ball goes longer. And that means it has less room at the back of the lane to make it all the way back to the pocket. Lane 9, Lucas. Beautiful strike over there. Now let's see if Fiona finally moved deeper and used that phase 2 and just dropped the urethane for a while. The urethane wasn't working. Yeah, that's a lot more like what we said. That's a lot more like what we said. Just keep adjusting from there. That look is a lot better. The ball is going to give you much more pin action than she was doing. Even every good shot was a 10 pin here and there. And the bad shots were washouts. Boy, that was very far to the outside for Matthias on that release. And we're gonna keep moving because we have some striking going on lanes 1 and 2. The squad leader, William Berggren, front 5, 9 spare strike, 9 spare strike. A lot of striking going on for Daniel Frisch. Same for Philip on lane 1, on his way for a 277 if he strikes out. Not a happy body language for Adam Anderson, but it's a good game so far. Triple 9 spare, triple, and that's a super easy spare. We can see Nora after so many 9s, and that 7-10, she probably did some kind of adjustment that didn't pay out very well. That was probably a washout, that 5 and 3. And then she's got a strike and a 10 pin. So it's going to be, it's too many things happening. I cannot keep my eyes on everybody. I'm sorry I cannot give you the full information. I definitely missed those last 2 shots on Nora, so I'm not sure which kind of adjustment she did. I'm going to try to catch up as many as I can. We get a strike for William Berggren. So if he strikes out, it's a 259. And that would put him with 183 after 4. 183 over after 4. That is a very, very, very good score. One more strike for him. Looking very consistent. So he's already on the 180 over. That's a little bit more than 245 average. 960 is 240. It's 20 pins for, yeah, that's 245 points something with a strike for him. Now we see also Danny Berner put the strike on the 10th. It's going to be a 213 for Daniel Borner. Frege can strike out for 235. And Philip can strike out for 277, which is going to put him all the way up on 75 over if he strikes out. Okay, it was a 9 on the last shot for William Berggren. So 982. That's exactly 245 point something, 0.2 I believe, 0.5. Don't make me count so many numbers. I need more coffee for that. Let me tell you who else is doing a lot of striking. Okay, no more strikes in here. Let me see what Nora is doing. Wait, that was a little bit of a bad balance for her. Another 9. That's a very expensive game on these lanes 3 and 4 for Nora. That's going to pay out very low. But if we have a look at lane 5, we have Timothy Tam with a game of 268, bowling really deep inside compared to some of the others. That was a terrible break at the end. But 263, and look at that. I have not seen that Kevin Malin is looking for a strikeout and a possible game of 290. That's definitely going to fix his score. We're going to stick here so we can see how the game ends for Kevin Mellin, and I will keep you informed about what goes on lane 1 with Philip on his way for the 277. Not sure who's going to take his shot first. Looks like it's going to be Kevin, so we're going to stick on Kevin. We will quickly run to lane 1 and 2 to see how Philip does on his 10th frame. And then we switch back to Kevin if he has strike on the 10th. A little bit deep in the pocket, so that's going to be a 269 for him. Now we switch back to lane 1 to see if Philip can manage to strike out and get that 277 game. Nice shot. Very good. Very good indeed. In the meantime, I'm going to let you know what's happening everywhere. Low game for Alexander Grundle, 173, so he drops down to 34 over. 222 for Mike Ong on lane 70 for a total score of 895. 148 for Adam Axa, so he drops down to 841. Jaroslav can still make 190, which is gonna make him drop down to hold on a second, 897 with a strike. Who else? We have Frankie Labois also. He needs to strike out on the 10th. Well, we saw one more strike for Philip. That's a 277 game for him. Soft 10 on lanes 13 and 14 for Frankie Lebois, so that's gonna drop him down to a 180 game. So Frank is also gonna drop down to just 90 over. Dan Harding shot 204. That's dropping him down to 101 over. And this time, apparently, the bad breaking transition happened on game 4. Despite, let me see, 1, 2, 3 games of 260 or 270, everyone else is under 215 except for Adam Anderson, who's going to shoot also 258. Okay, let's move to see some action, because here is nothing happening. We can see Adam, how he closes his game. You can see very old school style, but pretty consistent. 257. And that's putting in all the way up to 918. Okay, just a few shots left to finish this game 4. So that means in a couple of minutes we'll be able to update the scores and let you know what are the true standings for this particular squad. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so scores are updated. Let me give you a fine rating on how things are going. We have William Berggren is on the lead with 182 over. Then we find Kevin Mellin with 124 over. Adam Andersson, 118 over. Where are we? Daniel Frisch, 110 over. Dan Hardin, 101 over. Jaroslav, 97 over. Mike Ong, 95 over. Ethan Fury, 90 over. Frankie Lavoie, 90 over. And top 10, Dennis Lindhart, 73 over. Now we're starting game 5. Game 5 is a turbo game. That means if you score very, very high, even if you haven't done anything before, that could give you a free gateway all the way to the finals. We're currently sitting on lanes 13 to 16. We're keeping an eye on Ethan Fury, who has been bowling far outside pretty much the whole squad. I want to see if he does any adjustments, if he end up moving in at some point. How deep does he move when he does? And we also have Lucas Jelinek on lane 14. Lucas is currently on 12th place with 66 over. I'm trying to locate everybody, but we're going to do as we usually do, go around the alley so we find them all much quicker. We find Mike Ong on lane 2. Mike is 95 over. That means he needs more or less 480 on the next two. Kevin Mellin is bowling on lane 3. Kevin is 124 over, so 460 would be very good score for him. I don't see anybody else really doing that high. They need more than, they need more than 500. That's it's doable, but it's not that easy. If we look at these lanes 5 to 8, we have people on par. A lot of talent on lane 7 and 8 at the moment. William Svensson, Matthias Ottning, Emma Haltonen, and Nora Johansson. But no one has a high score, to be honest. But these 4 are super talented, so they are one of those guys or one of those players we need to keep an eye on them, because they could actually score very high on a single game and catch the turbo. We see Matthias keeps going back up. That was not his best shot. Let's have a look at what Nora is doing, what kind of line. She's standing quite to the left. She's going to be leading around 17, maybe 14. Probably missed to the right, and that's why the ball gave so much back reaction. She sent the ball all the way to the friction, and that was probably a little bit too much. If we move to 9, 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, we find Frankie Lavoie over there. Dennis Lindhart, that dropped down a little bit. Frankie is currently with 90 over. Dennis is 73 over. So they need a couple of high games. I would say Frankie needs to shoot 480 something to have any chance to make the score good enough. Okay, 66 over for Lucas, 26 for Linus, 34 for Grundel. And okay, we could see Ethan has already changed line. It's definitely, he's not, I'm not going to say he's not trying to score or not trying to get the pins down, but he's definitely more focused on gathering as much information as possible from the lanes and how they behave and how they keep moving and what kind of traffic he can expect, what kind of transition can he expect to find on the following squads. And that's what a real professional does. He never throws any shot to waste. Even if the day is not good, you keep gathering as much information as you can in order to become, you know, be more prepared for the next time you hit the lanes. Now she did the 4 and 2 I said before. Now the ball was on 16 and the arrows and not so far to the right, and that's the spot she should have been for quite a while. I'm talking about Fiona. Definitely a lot of talent, but that is also one of the things when they are young players like Fiona. I believe she's 18 years old, maybe 19 years old. You don't have the experience yet. You haven't bowled in thousands of tournaments and hundreds of bowling alleys and patterns. So you don't have that much experience on the back of the brain to recall all the memories and find out how to move on the lane quicker. And that is the reality of today's sports, especially today in bowling with the new. Okay, that's the top 5 we had on the last squad bowled yesterday. Mike Ong, 473. Chase Nadu, 1449. And then was Tori Torgerson, the classic, 1340. Max Lorenz, 1338. And Robin Person. These are the current top 6 standings. We find Tomo leading with 1488. Then we find Noel with 1474. Number 3 is Albin, 1473. Then we find Marcus Johnson, 1449. Carl Eklund, 1431. And Alexander Tigerstrand, 1429. Quite high scoring here in Olympia Bowling this week. And still quite a few of the best bowlers in the planet to arrive. So we can only expect the scores to keep growing and keep getting bigger. Bigger the numbers, bigger the show, and more fun we're going to have. Exactly. Do you see the body language on her when she released it? It's like, oh, I send it out, it's not going to come back. Of course it's coming back. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, we're going to have to do some true coaching after this squat and help her understand a little bit better lane reading so she has quicker reactions later on, because the talent for sure is over there. So front 5 for Linus Redder on 13 and 14. And if we make a quick look around, as we predicted, the 4 Scandinavian bowlers on 7 and 8. Well, Nora hasn't really found something, but we see a couple of doubles there for Emma Haltunen, and clean game with a turkey for Williams Benson, and a triple and a double also with a clean game for Matthias Ottning. These players are really fun to watch. They are so talented, and it's so interesting to see how they all have their different approaches to this pattern. You can see how Williams Benson moved even deeper than he was before, and that's another proof how the lanes have opened up. Now it's just a matter of carry contest. Just keep moving inside, just send the ball out there to the friction, and the breakpoint room is getting bigger and bigger. I'd say probably have 5 to 6 boards, and the ball's still gonna hit the pocket no matter what. And if you give such a big room to these talented bowlers, of course the scores are going to get higher and higher. That was an amazing shot there for Nora Johansson on lane 8. We see Matthias Onning. You see how quick the legs are for Matthias. All his power comes from the legs. Look at his legs. Speedy Gonzalez in action. Bang! That's a very, very strong pin action for a backup ball. Let's move a little bit more because I see some more striking going on here and there. Frankie Lavoie. Strike, spare, strike, spare, strike, and it's going to be another spare. But if we move to the next pairs, front 6 for Linus Reder. Astonishing pin action there for Lucas Jelinek on lane 13. And again, as I said before, when I'm a little bit quiet, is because I'm trying to look all around the big screens in front of me to make sure I don't lose any piece of the action, so I can bring you as quickly as possible to whatever the streaming is necessary to see what's happening and the best of the best. We see how comfortable Linus is bowling on that lane 13 and 14. He seems to be using even a little bit less of power than he was doing a couple of games ago. That's allowing him to be more consistent. It's paying out extremely well. Front 7 for Linus. Now we're going to pay close attention again to Lucas because he still has a chance to do quite okay. He's 66 over par. But this is one of those bowlers when they find their spot, they can easily shoot 540, 550 in 2 games. And that would be a 1400 and more than enough, more than sufficient to make it into the final. Yeah. Why am I not surprised that he has a solid 7? Every time we talk good about somebody, he stops striking. Same thing on any sports when we watch TV and they say, he hasn't missed a penalty for the last 6 months. He's going to throw it out for sure. He hasn't missed a free throw for 3 days and he's going to miss for sure. And same thing's happening to us. He's been striking a lot. Boom, no strike. The one thing I can tell you, I see a little bit different, and we were talking actually about it on game 2. It felt like there was a little bit more of a reactive resin on the lanes than I've seen in other squads, and that was causing the lane to open up quicker than it did in some other of the days. And definitely the bowlers are getting deeper and deeper compared to what we have seen other days. Bowling that deep, pretty much I would say it was only Marcus Johnson that managed to succeed that deep inside. But today we see some people bowling quite deeper compared to what we saw before. Another strike for Linus Reder there on lane 13. That's a front 8 for him. I'll remind you once again, we are on game 5. That's a turbo game. So if he managed to do a very high game, it could give him a gateway all the way to the final, despite even if the total score after 6 is not high enough. I'm going to remind you, we have different gateways to get into the final. We have 2 spots for the bowlers under 21. We have 2 spots for the bowlers over 50. We have 2 spots for the ladies division. We have 4 squads on the early birds that ended yesterday. And look at that. That was a ball in the gutter for Ethan Fury. I guess that's not something you see very often. Looked at his hand. I'm sure it was not the thumb getting stuck on the ball. since he's bowling two hands. Yeah, I know nonsense is back, but it's many hours, it's many games, and bowling is already too serious. Sometimes we have to laugh a little bit. And that's how you spare after throwing the ball in the gutter. Okay, I don't really see anybody striking a lot more. Perhaps on lane 20, we see some strikes by Dan Harding. So we're gonna make a quick look over there, take a peek, see what Dan's doing. Driving the ball with hand after he releases it, and he did pretty good. He just had another strike for a game of 258 if he makes the last one. And that is exactly what Dan needed. Dan was hitting with 101 over. If he strikes one more, it's going to be 159 over, which means that he will probably only need a 220 high game on the last to secure himself a spot in the final, or pretty much get himself pretty close to having that spot secure. If he goes all the way to 240 on the next game, then he's going to be on nearly 1400, and that should guarantee a spot on the final. Nice shot for Dan Harding over there, 258. Good job, buddy. So we're going to go back where we were. Okay, this time it wasn't us jinxing because we were not even watching. No strike on frame number 9 for Linus Röder. Actually left the 2-8. That puts him on a maximum score of 278, which at the moment would be not enough to catch the bye on Game 5 Turbo. That's something you don't see very often, but that's something Ethan Fury does very, very good. Lofting the ball a little bit, even if it's to bowl a very straight angle. He did the same last year when the pattern was much, much, much more demanding. You definitely could not miss to the right last year. And after bowling a deep inside squat and shooting the highest result so far, he bowled the immediate squat, and he bowled it completely different. He was standing completely straight on the 10th board, and he managed to shoot 1400 again. So this guy is definitely very good, very talented. And if you like to watch slow motion bowling and try to learn from that, that is one of the players. I would actually say that is the player you want to try to mimic, specifically on his timing. That is pure perfection. Strike on the 10th for Linus Röder. That guarantees a 268 game for him. One more strike is going to put him on the 70s. And I'm trying to make a very quick look around to see if anybody is increasing their scoring pace and putting themselves into any good chance for game number 6 on this afternoon squad here at Olympia Bowling Alley in Helsingborg. And hopefully this reactive game bowled by Fiona is going to open up her eyes a little bit and realize that reactive bowls can be as productive and sometimes much better than any urethane. Every bowl has its moments, and especially nowadays you don't need to stick to the same ball over and over again, not in a game that's changing so fast. And even if the other day Tomo, the current leader of the squad, did not change ball in the whole day, it was a very, very specific squad. It wasn't that many good bowlers over there, especially not many bowlers with high reps. That makes the lane change slower. But the more good bowlers come, more rep rates and a faster transition. And that's the reality of today's game. Evolution never ends. Ask Darwin. So 278 for Linus Schroeder. That puts him with 104 over. That was a very, very, very fun late 7-10 for Ethan Fury. Look at the pins. Mike Ong managed to strike out on lanes 1 and 2. 226 for him. It's not as high as he needs, but at least he stays alive for the last one. He's sitting with 121 over. That pretty much means if he manages to shoot 250 very high, 260, it's going to put him up there where he could have a chance to get some scoring. But I believe he had a very high squad yesterday. So give me a second and I'll check it, because it's so many bowlers I end up forgetting who's there and who's not. So I'm trying to see Mike Ong. He had already 1371, which it's a number that it could be in the cut, but also it was done on, let me tell you, it was done yesterday at 3. Yesterday was the last 2 early bird squads, so that 1371, I'm pretty sure, was already sufficient for Mike Ong. Anyway, he should do a little bit higher now, 260, so he can have another 10 pins than he had on his current standings in the overall standings. And the game is almost finished. That's game 5. Dan Hardin 159 over, Adam Anderson 122 over, Moritz 147 over. Daniel Freysch managed to strike out 157 over. William Berggren 12-17 over. Who else? Ethan Fury 82 over. Linus Schroeder 104 over. Lucas Jelinek 105 over. Mike Ong, we said 121 over, and Kevin Mellin is going to shoot 192 with a strike, and he's going to go to 11-16, so that's 116 over. Quite many bowlers on 100 over or more, but they need a little bit more than that. They probably need between 175, 185 over. If the pace continues this way, it may even go a little bit higher by the end of the week. We still have squats, 1 more squat today, 2 squats tomorrow, and I believe it's 4 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's nearly 14, 15 squats left, and that means we're not even at the middle of the event, not even in the middle of the tournament, so it's a lot of pins to go. And even if some bowlers have already bowled and have to score, there are many yet to arrive, many yet to bowl. Bowlers like Kyle Trapp, Nate Purchase. I've been told Mika is going to show up, so it's quite a few big names. EJ Tackett is not there yet, he hasn't bowled. Then we have a few of them, they bowled just 1 squad, like Andrew Anderson, he bowled 1 squad yesterday. It's another big name, is going to do some a little bit later on. So, yep, we're going to do a score update once more, and then we will come back with a refreshment of the squads and the stats. This is squad 11 of the 2026 Storm Lucky Larsen Masters. Be right back. We have Frankie Lavoie on lane 5 and 6 now and the streaming. 130 over for Frankie. So he needs to find a 250 something game. I just catch this pair, which he thrown the IQ U78. I'm not sure he's back to the IQ 78 because that was, I believe that's the lane where he started, unless I'm wrong. But I could be wrong, definitely. No, that's the lane they started. Yeah, exactly. Because when the alley is full, they move in a way that the 6th game is ball where you actually made your warm-up. So it could be that he went back to the IQ 78, tried to repeat whatever he was doing on game 1, where he shot 245. Or it could just be that we catch the spare and we didn't see what really went on the... Nah, yeah, we just catch the spare. We can see how he grabs the reactive resin. So it's not the IQ 78, it's not throwing urethane. Definitely deeper than he was before. Throwing it close to board 14 in the arrows, somewhere near 6-7. Yeah, 6-7. Here we go again. First time today, though. On the break point, that was a flat 10 for Frankie. So he's going to fine-tune, adjust a little bit, and make sure to strike from here on. Nice double there for Mike Ong. As we said, Mike needs a high game in order to improve this, the score he had yesterday. Now I can tell you how the stats are. We have our scores refreshed. Number 1, William Berggren, 12-17. That's 217 over with 1 game to go. Number 2, my pal Dan Harding, 11:59. He also needs, I would say, a 240 game would be very good for Dan. Number 3, Daniel Frisch, 11:57. Same, exactly the same. He needs 240. Moritz Wickman, 11:47. He needs also a 240 game. He shot 278 on the last one, so he's probably feeling comfy about it. Frankie Lavoie, 11:30. Frankie needs 250 something. But he can do it, obviously. He's a fucking pro. Then we find Adam Anderson, 11:22. Adam is already in the need of a high 250, even maybe 260. Same thing for Mike Ong. We have it on. We have him on screen, bowling on 5 and 6 with Frankie. Number 8 is Kevin Mellin, 11:13, in need for a game of 260, and the same for Lennis Linhart, which is 9th, and Lucas Jelinek, both of them 11:09, 11:05, and actually Linus Schroeder sitting on 11th, 11:04, also has a chance. Again, game 6, this is also a turbo game. So if you happen to make 280 something, 290, that could guarantee you a spot in the final, no matter what. So I see Don Harding is playing on 3 and 4, 9 spare, 8 spare, 3 and 4 plays a little bit longer. Dan is coming from the right side of the alley. Frankie is throwing the bionic. It's reading a little bit early. Again, it was a soft 10. I think he needs to change ball again and go for something that goes slightly longer and a little bit more angular, even if it could be a little bit more sensitive. But 230 now is not enough. He needs a high game, so it's time to take a risk and go for it. We will see if he fine-tune and makes a small adjustment again, repeating the bionic, or if he changes ball again. I would definitely change ball. When he was bowling the IQ 78, I said he needed a ball change, and he exactly changed the ball on that particular frame. So I'm very curious to see if Frankie does again change the ball when I see it. If he does that, then I'm very, very happy, because then I can see the game as a PBA star. I cannot execute any longer, but I can still see it. And that's the important part for me now, that my main role is a coach and not a bowler. So Frankie is out of the screen. It could be that he's actually going to the bowling backs and getting a different ball instead of that bionic that was reading slightly soon for him. But we'll find out pretty soon as he's back and takes his next shot on lane 5 right after Tobias Doro takes his third frame on that lane. Let's have a move around with the guys that we have with some chances to do some. Let's see. Okay, Maurice was with 147 over open frame on 3, so he needs to start striking very, very, very rapidly. There's Dan Harding. He was telling the ball to go right. That means he missed to the left. That pushed the ball longer than he pretended. Made the angle a little bit too strong, and definitely that was the reason for that 10 pin standing there. Sorry, I went too far. There we go with Frankie. Let's see. Did he grab the bionic again, or did he bring something else? It's another ball. It's not the bionic anymore. At least it doesn't look from here. I could be wrong. No, this is definitely darker, so it has to be something else. There you go. Man, Frankie, you see the game like I see it. You make me really look good now. That's 2 times in a row I say you need to change ball. You change ball exactly when I say it, and you strike again. That's pretty funny. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. It's like he can listen, or we see the game exactly the same. And that is always good news for me. Okay, let's move around a little bit. Let's go to the right corner. Let's see who we find here. We find Ethan Fury. We find Kevin Mellin also with an open frame on frame 2. Kevin is one of the guys who needs to shoot very, very high. Actually, you see 11-13. If he strikes out, is 266. I would say Kevin needs to strike out if he wants this squad to pay out for him. Let's have a look at what Ethan is doing since we are here on lane 19. It's definitely much, much deeper than he was before. And that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So smooth. Now, if some of you just join us now and you were not here, I was telling earlier before why Ethan Fury is so smooth. It's because it's the perfect timing for a two-hander. He puts the ball in front of the body on what on a 5-step approach would be step number 3, and that gives him a perfect timing down the foul lane, which is where you guys need to measure your timing. Anybody who tells you to measure your timing on the checkpoints 1 and 2, it's still living in the 90s, and that's a very, very, very old way of teaching. Bowling is evolution, and this is not how we work today. All right, let's go back to the left side of the alley. We find Dan Harding already strike on the 4th. Dan was having 159 over, so as we said, he needs 230. A high 230 could be good for Dan Harding. That means he needs to put 4 more in there and just spare for the rest of the game, and that would be enough. That would be sufficient. I see another ball change for Mike Ong. He's really fighting that squad. He's trying to stay alive no matter what. That was a beautiful shot for him. In case you wonder, that guy saying hello is the owner of the alley, so we cannot tell him to shut the... How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. How was golf today? And again, we're going to pay attention to Frankie on lane 6. I'm going to ask Frankie if he needs a coach somewhere, because since we see the game, to say, well, it definitely doesn't need him. All right, let's pay attention to that shot. He really needs to strike all the way out. Yes, yes. You see, the shot was not the best. He missed a little bit outside, but that ball change did the job for him. The ball went longer compared to when he was throwing that bionic. As I was telling you, it was reading way too early for him. And he managed to charge the pin beautifully. Let's move one more pair, see who we have here. Oh, Emma Haltonen from 5. Alexander Gronlund keep fighting there. Spare triple. Alexander was doing very good. He just had one game that killed his squad. It was a very low game. I believe it was 140, but I'll let you know. Let me find him. Alexander. No, actually it was a 170, but then he shot 190. That explains why he dropped down quite a little bit. We see Nora fighting and fighting, but she doesn't really find it. Nora had a very low game on lanes 3 and 4. That was super expensive for her. Gonna move again a little bit further right with the squad leader bowling amazingly high today. He's already with a spare double, and another spare. So that gives him already a score of 1365 if he wouldn't throw any other shot, but he still has the 8, the 9, and the 10. That's 140 pins left to put there because the count is not on the 7th yet on the score. So if he strikes out, it's going to go all the way up to 1475, which is a very, very, very good score. Let's have a quick peek to 19 and 20, see if we can catch up Ethan Fury again. Okay, we see Fiona first. And that looks so much better. That reactive really does take care of the 10. The urethane was not doing, and the urethane was placing her in the middle of nowhere. No room outside, no room inside. At least now she has room outside with that reactive. And Kevin Mellin, it's going to be a game over for him, especially after that split. That squad's not going to be the one. Lucas Jelinek had a strike spare and triple. Lucas probably needs to strike out and try to shoot that 280, and then the score would be good enough for him. If we jump back to the other side of the bowling alley, we see Dan Harding with spare, double spare, 3-6-10 there, which is not the funny spare that you want to have that late in the squad. Is only 3 over par. 3 frames to go. So that means Dan is currently with 162 over the par. He definitely needs to take the spare. Okay, that was really tight for him. But takes the spare. And if he only doubles, it's going to be on the 1370s, which is not going to be enough. Dan needs a turkey at least. At least a turkey. Now, let's move one more pair because we could find Frankie and Mike Ong. 121 over, couple of doubles. Still alive, still have a chance to make it all the way to the final, but he needs to do a lot of striking. Definitely needs to do a lot of striking over there. One more strike over there for Lucas Jelinek on 17 and 18. He needs to strike out for a 280 game. We're going to have a look here at Mike Ong on lane 5, the Singapore kid. Extremely powerful, very nice technique. And that's a very beautiful shot. A very smart choice of ball this late in the squad. You want something that is a little bit more angular, especially when you move in. We see Dan Harding there on lane 4, not striking again. Another spare for him that needs to be converted. He's running out of frames. He's only going to have the 9th and the 10th, so he's going to need to strike out if he wants it to beat this squad. He has been up there every single time, so close. Every single time he bowls is on the 1320s, 1330s. So he's just missing that one particular game a little bit higher, so he would be enough for him. But he still have the 9th and the tramp, so the 9th and the 10. Let's see if he takes the spare. Okay, no chopping. Good for Dan. I'm starting to get excited already, and there was not the coffee. It's because I have some of my friends over there, and I'm rooting for pretty much every one of them. I don't think I have enough spots in the final for as many friends I have over here, but that is also good news, because then I can trick one of them to come and talk into the booth if they're not bowling or not qualified for the final. Let's move around again, shall we? Back to Ethan. Ethan strikes on a couple of open frames, so nothing there. No, sorry, that was Frank. Ethan has one open frame and some doubles. We see Fiona with a 5 in a row. Timothy Tan, 4 in a row. Lucas, 4 in a row. Linus, 3. I'm actually gonna do something on my own while I'm talking to you guys, because I'm doing a little bit of everything here, not only DJ, not only streaming. I'm helping some of my friends. Some of them, it's not that I'm their coach, but they know they can trust me, and I try to help them to realize. So Fiona shot 550 something first 3 with urethane. She wasn't really comfy to move in with the reactive, but even not being comfy, she had 201, 204. Now she's got 6 in a row. So I think that should be an eye opener for her. And that's the second time I see Ethan putting a ball in the gutter. Look at that. That makes it 2. I gotta make sure when I go out, tell him that the gutters are already clean. He don't need to keep putting balls over there. And I promise you, I'm gonna tell him, because he's a funny guy, and I know he's gonna smile. Unfortunately, I have very bad news. Dan Harding, another 9 spare on the 9th. That means if he strikes out, he's only gonna shoot 210. And with 210 down, you're going to stay on 1369, which I'm afraid is not going to be enough, especially today. It's not more early bird squats. So how unsatisfying that is going to be for Dan. I mean, he's been bowling really, really good today. Fantastic. Just didn't find enough carry on some of those games. Actually, game 4 and game 6 are paying out really bad for Dan. But it is what it is. 6 pin for Lucas Jelinek, which means he could only accomplish a game of 269. That would put him on 1374. 1374 if he strikes out. And that could be in there. That could be the last spot, but he's very good. He's probably going to bowl a few more squats and get a higher score than that. Yeah, it wasn't the best shot over there for Fiona, but at least she's going to end the squat with a little bit of a higher game. That should give her a little bit of more positive thoughts for later on. And we're going to go back and see what Frankie and So are doing. Frankie, just a couple of doubles, a few 9s. Mike on with that change of ball. That was not good. That was not good, but look at how fucking amazing it came back. And that's what I meant. By the end of the day, the lanes open up. You have a lot of room there. You can miss easy 4 or 5 boards down the break point, and the ball's still going to make it back into the pocket. And that is the only reason why the scores are so much higher compared to 1 year ago, when the middle lane was really, really tough. And you definitely could not miss to the right. If you remember, last year we saw so many, at least 2 or 3 times on every squat, we saw somebody taking the corner pins on a strike shot. So there was some more striking on this game number 6. I see a lot of strikes on Mike Ong, but I see a lot of strikes on Matthias Ottning, William Svensson, Lucas Jelinek, Timothy Tan, Fiona until that open frame. Dennis Linhart shot 235 to end up with 1344. That's going to be a little bit short. Daniel Freysch, strikeout for 206 and 1363. That, I'm afraid, is going to be a little bit short. Who else do we have there? Don Harding is going to make a 9 spare, so that's going to stay on the 1357, 1358. That also is not going to be enough. Frankie moving even deeper. Frankie can make 1356. Same for him. Won't be enough. Mike Ong, let's see if he can strike one more. He definitely needs one more to improve his score from yesterday. Could it be? Oh, it was a little bit more on the side. It was slightly more on the side on that release. That pushed the ball a little bit further down. Solid 10 for him. That's going to be a 247 and a total of 1368. And we just said he had 1371. So he's not going to beat his own score. He needed one more strike. Very nice game for him. Very well. Very good effort. Very well played. But unfortunately was not enough. Now I'm trying to find the squad leader, but I have lost him. Give me a second. Where are you, William? No, it's William Spenson and William Berggren, lane 13 and 14. He finished with an open frame for a total of 205. And at the end of the squad, 1422 for William Berggren. That's more than enough to make the cut, I should think. And very nice effort for Mike Ong. Obviously, he was pretty upset on that last shot. That's why it never grabbed the speed yet on some BB shots. Here we saw William Spenson 1263. Don Harding, as we said, 1358. Matthias Hotning is going to shoot 1287 with one more strike. Bit short, so that's going to be 1270 something. Moving in here, Emma start with many strikes, then a couple of 9s. Okay, that's pretty much it in here as well. And if we move here, same thing as we said, 1363 and 1422 for squad leader William Berggren. And the only piece of action we have left is on these last two pairs. We're going to see the last shot for Ethan Fury. Okay, it's like the cartoons used to say, esto es todo, amigos. That's all, folks. We'll be back pretty soon with more action. Next squad starts at 7 o'clock, or is supposed to start. Yeah, it will start at 7 o'clock. It's a 5:45. That's more than enough time to refresh the lanes, let the Kegel guys take care of the lanes and give us some fresh pattern for the next squad on 7 o'clock. So we will be back with more action. I'm going to go out there and do a little bit of interviewing. It's going to be with the squad leader, William Berggren. And we will be back pretty soon. Thank you, guys.